I was taught in secondary school that Mungo Park discovered River Niger. Our teachers that taught us in secondary school did not do any research. If they did a research, they will not talk about Mungo Park discovering River Niger, because Mungo Park on his own, in his biography, did not claim that he discovered River Niger. He wrote, and I quote, "And I set forth to discover the source of the River Niger." So what Mungo Park was trying to do was to discover the source of River Niger. And interestingly, Mungo Park never discovered the source of River Niger. The source of the River Niger was discovered by the Lender brothers, Richard Lender and John Lender. And when we discuss history and we talk about River Niger, we leave the Lender brothers who discovered the source, and we're talking about Mungo Park who died halfway trying to discover the source. So the problem here is not whether the river was existing before Mungo Park came. The problem is that our teachers did not understand the concept, the understanding of the word, the source, which Mungo Park was after. Well, when I say something is missing in Nigerian history, I'm actually referring to the fact that we have distorted history. And until we learn how to correct the history, until we learn how to tell our story the way it's supposed to be, the way it is and how it's supposed to be, we might never get it right. This is a case of one not knowing where he is coming from and probably not knowing where he is going to go to. When we get our history right, we will know where we're coming from. And once we know where we're coming from, we will know where we're going to. This is an awesome one. I've not seen something as big as this before. So this is going to the section that have to do with natural history in my museum. There I have snail shells and other smaller shells, but this one, I'm going to find out what kind of animal lived inside here. By the time I get back, I'm going to do research to find it. So this is going to the museum. So this is actually how I go about collecting items, things that can actually tell Nigerian story in whatever form one can get.
Oh, Yahweh.
Please, what's that?
That's the baby there?
Twin stick.
Oh, the baby there, one by
That woman is going now.
Originally, my idea was to set up a photo museum, just focusing on photography, because this whole thing started around 2012. Nigeria was preparing for Nigeria at 100, which was supposed to be 2014. And I was working on two different books that was supposed to tell the story of Nigeria. So while I was working on the book, I was getting a lot of photographs from old newspapers, old magazines, some of my tours. At the point, I realized that the whole photographs could not really go into the book. So I was like, okay, so what do I do with the photos? And that was when the idea to set up a photo museum came up. So I started putting them in my hard drive. In my system, the laptop I was in then. And unfortunately for me, that laptop crashed. And I lost 5,000 photographs. I almost ran mad. I was angry, I was pissed. I said, I'm not doing it again, it's over. But something inside me keeps saying, you did it the first time, you can do it again. So I started all over again. And I'm happy I did, because as I talk to you, I have over 40,000 photographs telling Nigerian stories over the years. When I decided I wanted to run a museum beyond photography, I realized that for the few museums that I visited out across the country then, they were focusing more on Nigerian culture, Nigerian tradition based on artifacts, artwoods, and carvings and the rest. I realized I couldn't compete with them. Again, I also noticed that there was a loophole somewhere. There were certain things that can tell our story that others were not keeping. And that was when I said, okay, let me start collecting items other people are not collecting that can actually tell our story. And as of today, we have 422 different beverage bottles from all brands of things you would have think of, from Coca-Cola to Pepsi. I think Coca-Cola will have about 24 or 25 different bottles of Coca-Cola. We have different bottles of Fanta. We have Tandy Guarana. We have Dr. Pepper. We have Schweppes. So many of them.
Where are the bottles?
Well, you might not really get to see them. Okay, you can actually get closer here. Because of our space, again, you can see these are bottles piled up here. They are inside crates. We're not actually supposed to put them in crates, but because we don't have space, look at this one. This is Royal. I can't even remember drinking this one when it existed. But because now we are collecting, we start searching for all these bottles. Even this one too. I never drank this. Upper 10. So
how old is that bottle?
I don't know. Most of these bottles should be from the 80s. This one in particular should be from the 80s. So we have all that.
I see the 7-Up wooden crate. That's really old.
Yes, this is actually the first 7-Up wooden crate in Nigeria. That's the first 7-Up. This should be from the 60s. Yeah, and this is the first Coca-Cola wooden crate. This is from the 50s. That's the first one Coca-Cola produced. After Coca-Cola produced this one, the other crate that Coca-Cola came with before the introduction of the plastic crate had demarcations. It was also wooden like this, but with demarcations in the middle. So this is the first one without demarcation.
So there is a focus on collecting everyday objects as well as historical objects.
Exactly. For the everyday object for today, you see it as everyday object. For tomorrow, it becomes historic. There are a lot of things now that I'm searching for, I've not been able to lay my hand on, and I wish that I had collected them where they were everyday objects. So what I'm now trying to do is to prevent a situation where in the next 10 years, whoever that is running this museum on my behalf will now start searching, oh my God, how can I get this? I mean, I saw it some 10 years ago. So that's why we are picking them up today and we are protecting them.
So what's the mechanism that's making it work?
Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm generating power for it to rotate.
Oh, so it has a dynamo.
So in the olden days, the DJ have to stand beside it to always wind it. Then when you wind it,
takes on a life of his own.
Then you drop the pin gradually. I'm heading to 7 and 8 to see a friend of mine who called me and told me that she has some bottles. I want to go and inspect those bottles and see if they fit into what I'm collecting for my museum. Every time I get an invitation like this, I'm always eager, hoping that I'll get something that is valuable to me. For me, everything is history as far as my museum is concerned. So whatever that can tell the story of Nigeria, no matter how tiny, no matter how large it is an artifact for me, and I go for them. Oh, let me see. Okay, I think I have this 7-Up. I have this one. This is Fanta 35cl. I have this. Where are those ones at? Okay.
I was told I always had the passion for photography because when I was 4, I got a toy camera. When I was 6 or so, my dad gave me his own camera to be using to take his pictures. In fact, he literally tied it on my neck first, and we're like, okay, this is shutter button. You press this. He set everything for me with the lens and everything. And we're like, just press it and snap it. So that's how I started photography. I think when I was 8, it was my own camera. Document photography because I want to document everything happening around me or happening to me. So because pictures are a way of remembering the past, so I want to document everything happening around me for me to be able to remember it tomorrow.
If you are a man. No, Simone. I can really understand. I gave you the ornaments because it was your as the daughter-in-law of the mayor of him. But that wife is snatched away from me, Uncle. And the matter isn't about that, right, Uncle? You have no idea what my mom and dad would go through if they found out that though I am in this house, Mahar is here with me. You have no idea. So what I don't want you to do you understand? You already came here to give me a club and blessings. So
I should make a transfer.
I know that you're actually
Let me make it. I don't have enough. I'll make a transfer to you. See you later.
henceforth you can only talk to the daughter-in-law
Yeah.
and you've come back here.
To recently, for every time I wake up in the morning and I'm going to my office, I'm like always praying to God that I wish I just get there and the office just expand, and become much more bigger. Because the only challenge I have today is the space that I have in my office. And even with that, the space is small, and yet artifacts are coming in practically every day. I keep bringing in more things. So my concerns practically, in fact, the only headache I have, if I tell you I'm having headache, is my space in the office. That does it.
The family had to ensure we are still doing is sacrifice so many things. Because once he sees anything he is interested in, he goes out for it. So we, whatever it is we wanted, we now have to be suspended for a while. So he goes all out to get things for the museum. He does not care the cost.
Well, it's actually strange because at times he knows he doesn't have money, but he actually goes to buy the artifacts to keep in the museum.
One of the ways we can run the museum is by raising funds. And while we can't always wait on grants, one way the museum can stay afloat is to charge them for coming in. And I think it's something that has always been an argument between my dad and I. Because I'm like, oh, we can raise the fee, and you'll be like, oh no, the space is too small, let's wait still. And I'm like, why are you waiting? If you're going to just let anybody walk in there, might as well not call it a museum. They should just leave the doors open, let anybody walk in. There's lights that we're going to be paying for, there's the space, and then we have people coming to visit. So why are they not paying if they are gaining something, they are gaining knowledge, regardless of the space?
I have very close friends who had come to me and asked me, why are you running the museum? In fact, why are you doing the things you're doing? Why will you wake up one morning and you withdraw 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, and you say you're going on tour to go and find out about Nigerian history? A lot of my friends have asked me that question. But I keep telling them, I said, if there is something that somebody have to do, and everybody is waiting for somebody, at the end of the day, nobody will do it. Somebody have to start doing it. And that is what I decided, okay, let me be that somebody that will start doing it to achieve the same aim, which is to preserve Nigerian history.